Hi, welcome to TLC's Creative Art Corner. I'm Miss Susan, and today I thought we would have some fun activity with wax paper and crayon. Now we've been having some very sunny days here where we live, and so I thought it would be fun if we could catch some sun. So here's an example of what we're going to do with a sun catcher, and this has no light on it right now because we don't have any windows in the studio. So we're going to put some light on it so you can see what it's like with the light shining through. Okay, all right, so here's what it looks like now with light shining through. Now these I just did different sizes of circles, so it kind of looks like a planet, something like that. But there are other options too. Okay, here's another example that I did of a flower. And you can see, he'll come in close, the cameraman will come in close and show you. Okay, this is sort of what it looks like without light. I know it's kind of hard to see. And then when the light shines through. And I tried to do an abstract flower, and the way to get this is depending on how you work the iron. Okay, and I will show you that procedure as we go along. Okay, so great. So now we're going to talk about our materials. So let's talk about our materials. The first thing we need to do is protect our surface. This is not, I didn't like doing this on the ironing board, you know, so I did the table. So what I put on here, I folded a towel, an old towel if you have one, underneath, so it's protecting the surface. And then I have newspaper on top of that, you know, and it can be, you know, several layers, it's fine. And then you're going to, so that's what you need to do to protect, and of course your clothes, okay? And some of this you're going to need to do with adult supervision because it does involve a hot iron, not that hot, it's a low temperature iron, but nevertheless an iron and perhaps an X-Acto knife. So that can be a little bit dangerous for younger children. So you want to do, some of these steps are going to be with parental supervision. Promise? Promise? Okay, promise? Good. Okay, so here we have the wax paper. We're going to need wax crayons. I don't know if crayons come any other way besides wax, but they always say wax crayon on them. This says wax crayon right here, okay? And then you can get the skinny ones, or you can get the big fat jumbo ones, you know, which are, you know, fine, okay? You're going to need perhaps a grater if you choose to grate your shavings, and we'll get to that. We're going to need a little sharpener to get our grates. Crayons, of course, scissors, you're going to need some thread and a needle, some different shapes to trace, and this is a box where you can get lots of different shapes from that. You know, I have different size circles. This was a container, you know, whatever you want to use, and here's, you can use the inside and the outside for different sizes of the tape, and then different kinds of glues, or just one glue is fine because some of this involves some glue. I dropped that, sorry. And always our cloth. Okay, and then a dry iron. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have an iron that does not, you know, a Teflon type of iron. It means that you don't use steam, okay? We don't use steam. It's just a dry iron. And we're going to have to put, perhaps, soak the crayons to get the paper off, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, so that's all our materials. And then, perhaps some cardboard for the different ways to hang it, or making a frame. This would be a nice little frame. You know, I cut up a little box so I can show you how to make a frame. And then you're going to need other pieces of newspaper, and I just cut, you know, the, you know, where the fold is, I just cut it. So I have different ones for when you're doing the ironing to protect your iron. Okay? And you'll need a straight edge. See, I've got such a mess on my table all the time, but you'll need some kind of straight edge, and perhaps a ruler to measure if you're going to measure. That's, you know, for one of the options, okay? Okay, remember last week I told you about the bag that you get when you go shopping sometimes. They give you these kinds of bags rather than plastic bags. So this would be a really nice thing to perhaps to make frames with, or to use for hanging devices, to make like a little frame to hold everything in, like I have on here. Let me show you, you know, to make something like this to hold our sun catchers, okay? So there we go. So now you hit pause. You go and get your stuff and come on back, and then we'll start this together. Welcome back. Now the first thing we need to do is prepare our colors. Okay, so we're going to take the crayons and soak them in water because they have to be peeled. All right, so when you soak them in water, the peeling comes off very easy. Otherwise you're there for hours trying to get the glue off. And some of them come right off. I'll try to find one. This orange one, it came right off. See, it just came right off. Now let's see if this one will come off. Oh yeah, this one works, see? All right, you can just peel it right, not even peel it, just pull it out, okay? Now that doesn't always work, and sometimes I think I have one. Yeah, this one, see, it will not, and it's been soaking for forever. So this one you would have to go ahead and try to find where the seam is and try to peel it off. Okay, like there. And yeah, here, it's coming a little bit easier. You know, and sometimes the glue sticks, so you want to scrape it off. If not, you can take the knife. This is what the adult would do. Here, I'll show you. If this were dry, okay, you'd scrape off some of the residue. Okay. Now, some crayons, you know, it comes right off. In other crayons, you're there for days trying to get it off. I don't know why. Not all are equal. Not all glues are equal. So then when you've got your crayon, you take it out and let it dry. Okay, so once they're dry, so I've got my dry crayons. I already have some over here. And you're going to take your sharpener. Okay. Now, what you can do, I already have my colors already made, but I'll show you, there's several ways to do it. Now, the bigger one, okay, you would do on the thing. Let me give you a little piece of paper to do it because it can be messy, messy, messy. So we'll just use some of the wax paper. Okay. The shiny side or the waxy side is where you're going to do your crayons. So I'll just pretend I'm going to do the one color. Of course, I found that this particular size worked better than this big size, especially for the jumbo crayons. So I'll do this reddish color. Okay. So you would just come here. Again, an adult might want to do this. You don't need much shavings to get a nice color. Okay. So you just, yeah, so you would carry on, carry on, carry on. So that's the process with this one. Now, so then the other, if you use this kind, little sharpener, so here you're going to sharpen. I already set it down. Now, one of the odd things about this, doing this, is that when you make a lot, when I was making these, because I made quite a bit at one time, they get that staticky stuff, and they were like sticking all over the place. But I think if you just did the color you wanted right onto the paper, you know, you don't need much, like I said. Okay, so we'll use these two colors. This is quite nice. Okay, and then I got some blue in there by mistake. Okay, we'll just see what happens here. Okay, I'll prepare my iron and just show you. So pretend I wanted to do just like a circle. So for example, oh, perfect size. Okay, it's going to fit great. So I want to put this up here. Now, if I didn't want any of that blue in there, I could use my tweezers and pull all these out, you know, but that can be tedious, you know. And sometimes it's nice to have just that little bit of, you know, little bit of contrast. Okay, so that's what you would do with the tweezers. Now the iron will be on low heat. Now I have mine set at acetate, I think it is, but it could probably be even lower. But you'll see what your iron does to melt the glue. It doesn't take but a minute. Okay. Then you're going to cover this with a piece of paper, and this protects your iron. Okay, and not to mention everything else. That's why we have all this paper. Okay, and then you're going to set it down. A little bit press, you know, just up and down. Now, when you press up and down, the colors stay, you know, where you put them. But if you move the iron back and forth, they'll blend. And I'll show you that on another one that we can do. And then you have to set this aside to see what it does. Let's see. You get these little air bubbles, and you can just play with them like this. But what I don't like this part here, I didn't think it melted enough. So what I'm going to do is flip it over and do it again on the other side. Okay. So I'm going to be sure that, yeah, the iron goes where you've got the crayon, because you don't know what's under there. Okay, a little pressure. Doesn't have to be much. Like again, kids, you're going to do this with adult supervision. Okay, you promised. All right, I don't want to get any burns. So, yeah, I find that these particular shavings, when I do with the grater, that doesn't quite melt the way I would like. So this is how it's going to be. Okay, sometimes, yeah, it's weird, but anyway, that's okay. Now I want to tell you about parchment paper. I did not think it worked at all. Here's what this is a piece of parchment paper. It has no wax on it that I could, maybe it has its own kind of thing. But anyway, it just did not even stick to, when I put the iron, it didn't stay stuck. Now the difference, just let me show you, you can see here, this is very dull. Wax paper is shiny or waxy. And one side, it's hard to tell, one side is a little bit more shiny than the other or more waxy than the other. So that's what you want to put together. The waxy side goes together. But I don't think it's a crisis if it doesn't turn out that way, if you did it the other way. I don't think it's a crisis, because I tried it both ways, and I don't know which is which, and here it is, I have it. So I don't think it's a crisis. Okay, but this is not happy, yeah, big difference, no. So this is a no, that's, parchment paper is a no, okay, we've established that. Okay, now we're gonna set this aside to dry, okay, it's gonna cool down and it'll harden right away, but I wanna do a big one with lots of colors on it. All right. Now I've cut a big piece of wax paper with the shiny side up or the waxy side up, and I've established on this roll that it's the outside is the side I want to put up. So I put that down, and I've got my colors all shaved, and now I'm going to just go ahead and lay them out like rainbowy all over the place, okay? Now it's best to put, the harmonious colors, next to each other on the color, like on the color wheel. You want to sort of go around the color wheel, because if you put the opposite, if I put purple next to this, to the yellow, it's an opposite color and I'm going to get brown. I don't want brown, okay? So here's some green, yellow goes into greens, and then I have some darker greens, okay? And then I can go into some blues. Now here I have some paper, that happens too, so I use my tweezers to get them out. And then you can also come in and say, hey, I want more of this, I want some of this pink here, so I'm gonna put some here, okay. And isn't that nice? So we'll see what happens here. And this one I'm gonna move the iron back and forth, and you'll see how the colors blend together. Now I wanna get some more red here, okay, maybe some red down here. It's okay if there's like white areas too. These are just the basic sizes of crayon, which is just 12 in the packet. But if you had, over the years, had, 36 Crayolas or whatever, you would get all these different shades of yellows, shades of pinks, shades of blue, and that would be just, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But this is beautiful too. I'm excited. So next thing you're going to do is take your wax paper again, and I want to get, put a piece on top of it so I get it this big. We want the waxy side on, that goes to the crayon. Okay, like this one is up and this waxy is down. So I have this down here like this, okay? Fold it down. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put on. So sometimes this gets lots of crayon on it, then you would want to get a new one. But this is okay for right now, okay? I'm going to take my iron, here's my iron now. Now this one I'm going to go back and forth, and we'll see what it does different than just going up and down. Okay, I'm going to move this down, okay? I like to flip it up. See here, the wax came out of the side. So that's why you have the protection, okay, because it will protect the iron as well. So I like to just flip it over and just iron it again from the other side. See, already you can see how it's blending together, and it looks just beautiful. You could put a frame on this and hang it as it is. It's just beautiful. But I want to do something a little bit different. Now, when it's like that, it's not really hot, it's not warm, it's okay. But if, you get these little air bubbles, which is fine, and you can, play around with them if you want. And we're going to set this aside to dry. So now they're all cooled, and I've made many papers. Okay, these I prepared the other day for the interest of time. And this one is just a solid color, so we'll do a shape with this. And this was a rainbow, and I want to leave this because I just think this is so pretty. I think I'm going to put a frame on it at some point, or just even up here put a frame and hang it. I have this one with all the colors everywhere. Had an accident on my way here, it just tore. But it's okay because I had already planned I can cut around it. Not a problem, okay? Now we're going to take our shapes, okay, like I was going to do circles, but I already did circles, so I thought I want to do something with the squares, okay? So I'm going to set this down, take my pencil, take a marker of some sort, okay, and actually I think I'll go ahead and, okay, so I'm going to draw around it. Okay. So I'm going to do one line. Now, this one has 2 sizes, maybe even 3 sizes of circles, but I'm going to do rectangles and squares. So that's what we're going to do. But I did not have fun with this particular ribbon. It was hard to glue down and, because it's curly and, oh my goodness. But anyway, ribbon does work. I do like the effect because I think in the sun it's, it's got this sparkle, and I love sparkle. Can't have enough glitter. But we'll do some stitching. I'll show you how to stitch it together like this. So we've done that one square here, and now I'm going to come over here and decide where do I want, this was a rectangle, excuse me. So I'm going to come over here and do a square. And I like how this comes out to be like the galaxy. I just think that's really pretty. Now that I've done all of my drawing, my shapes on my paper, I'm going to take the scissors and cut them out. Okay, there. So then you just cut along your guideline that you drew. Okay. And I've cut them and put them aside for right now because I want to show you how to do something like this, because this is a good place to show it. Now, this was the inside of this when I cut the frame out. So now I'm just going to make a smaller one, okay? And I will use this. I will just determine the size and use this. But this is going to determine how big I want to make this, okay? Okay. And then I'm going to have a border here. Okay, so I can see kind of where my fish will be. Okay. This will be here, okay? And maybe my fish will be here, okay. Little small fish here. Then I would take my colors and lay them out as best I could. You know, for example, you know, I would take this thing. You know, you could use your fingers as well, but here. Let me try to put the iron on real quick, and we'll just see quickly how we, to do this. Okay, and then because this is a blue background for the water. Here's my fish. It's upside down for you, but here's goes up to the fin and then the back fin, and I did the back of the fish red and the middle is yellow. I tried to put a little red lip there. I don't know if I was too successful. I tried to put a dark blue eye. I don't know if that's going to be successful, but we'll try. And the bubbles of water I did in yellow. And then the sea, of course, is blue. Put different blues down. So then I would take my piece of wax paper, again, the shiny, the waxy side down. Now with this, you're going to put the paper down. You're just going to press the iron up and down, because if you do the back and forward motion, the colors are going to blend and you won't get any reasonable facsimile of a fish. Okay, and what you want to get is something abstract, but I know this is a flower. I can tell it's a flower, So you're going to be able to tell it's a fish, hopefully. So let's give it a go. Moment of truth. Okay, so we'll set this aside to cool while we work on the other pieces that we cut earlier. So I'll set that aside there. Now what I want to do now is get my pieces and determine how I want to lay this out. For example, here I started with a small one, a big one. Here I had a medium, a big, small. So I need to determine how I want to hang them. So I think I'm going to have a rectangle at the top. Okay. Then I'm going to put a diamond, which means I hang it like this instead of like this. Okay, about there. And then this rectangle I'll do this way. And then this rectangle, I like the diamond rather than a square. It just doesn't look so pretty. So I'm going to put this diamond here. Okay. Now when I do my hole here, I want to at least be 1/4 of an inch up. So I'm going to come through, okay. And then I'm just going to come through a second time. And if you don't get the same hole, that's fine, okay. All right. And then I'll come to this one in the corner, and oops. And then sort of decide how much space there to hang through, okay. Oops. We don't want to get it tight, tight, tight. And then we'll come back at the end and put a dot of glue everywhere we put the thing. Pretend I have all that done. Okay. We've done the stitching. We've got it all organized and stitched together. So we're going to take the glue. You can use the white glue or the clear glue, but I'm just going to use this one because it's easier to dab. Okay, so I'm going to dab at each where I did the knots, okay? On each side, let it dry, let this side dry, and then flip it over and do the other side so that these don't eventually wear out from going around. So we've done that, and pretend it's dry, okay, and this is what it looks like when it's finished. And you can do as many of these as you like, and this one I just chose to do a loop at the top with the thread. I just doubled it over and knotted it there so it doesn't move anywhere. So you can do that. Or if you wanted, you could take the piece of ribbon, if you had this kind or the other kind, set it down, and then glue, 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 glue. Eventually get it. And what I did here, to show you, one side I have it, the ribbon behind it, and then the other one I would have the ribbon in front and then behind, just for balance, for no particular reason, but I just felt like it might balance it so that you see more glitter on one side and then not on the other. Or you could not have any ribbon and do this. But if you had the cloth type ribbon or the satiny ribbon, I don't think you'll have that kind of trouble that I was having with this. But I like the effect of this. So it's, you know, just patience is what it took. So there we have this one. Ta-da. But, you know, again, you could keep going. You could put some circles on it, but, you know, I wanted to do something different. So I love this rainbow effect, so I hope you do too. So, or you can just do solid colors like we had done with the pink. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put this aside and show you, let's talk about how to finish off our little fish. So, oops. So we have our pieces of card. On the back side, I'm going to determine where my frame is. So say I'm going to give it a 1/2 inch frame. So I'm going to make it a 1/2 inch all the way around my frame. Okay. And again, this part might be adult supervision because you're going to use the knife. You know, but you know, if you want, you could probably cut in here with scissors and get in there. That's one way, but I'm quick, you know. But you have to be careful. You just go from corner. You don't need much of this sticking out. You really don't, okay? There, from there to there. And I'm going to go down just a few times, lightly, and then it will go all the way through. I don't need to, you know, heavy through the first time, and that's fine. And I'll go around. When I'm done with the knife, I'm going to be sure to retract the blade, okay? This is where it's out. I want to put it back down so that it's not a danger to anybody to cut. So we want to, and then put it away, put it aside. Now, here's my fish, and look at what I did. I don't have enough room on my fish, so maybe I can put it like this, my frame. And then I can get sort of my tail and a little bit of the water. And so I didn't do a real good job estimating, but there you have it. So I'm going to determine where I'm going to put my frame. So I'm marking it. Okay. And then I'm going to take the glue over out of the way and put the glue around. Okay. There we have. Now what I could do at this point is put, and I think I will just to do this, I'm going like this. Okay, I would stick this under here so it's glued in. Here, put the piece there, as much up there as I can get it. Okay, so I have my hanging piece already there, and I just have to be careful when I cut around this that it's not there. Then I would flip it over and repeat the process here. So here we have it finished now. Okay, and our hanger is here. And we just cut around, you know, and when it's not exact, it's okay. You know. So then we cut our thing out. Now here we have to be careful because we want to not cut our hanger. You know what? I can't get right up there. There we go. I'm just going to be sure I cut around. Just so, oh, well, he's not so bad. He's quite cute. So here's my little fish. Yeah? So off we go into the wild blue yonder. Great. So that's our project for this week, sun catchers. So I hope you have a lot of fun catching some sun. So please be sure to send us your creations. I just love seeing them. Everybody loves seeing them. They talk about them nonstop to me. So you want to be sure to send them to me. You can send them to MAEBEAT, and it's right there on the screen, or to administrator@tlckuwait.com. And we really look forward to seeing your work. Okay? So go catch some sun, and I'll see you next time. God bless. Bye-bye.